Hey, this is Jonathan Ariel, and I'm here today with a video to show you how to use the calculated multi-choice question type in Moodle. It's probably one of the most complicated question types there is, but it's seriously powerful. Now, if you haven't already watched the video where I set up a calculated question type, you probably want to go back and watch that first, or else some of this video might not make as much sense. I made that video writing this question for the Pythagorean theorem where we solved for one side of the triangle. And I'm going to go on with that example, but I want to switch over to my multi-choice questions folder. And so just like before, I'll create a new question and calculated multi-choice and add. Just like always, I'm going to write the title of the question, Pythagorean theorem, solve for B. And then I'll set up the question just like I did last time. Alright, so the question is set up just like before. I have two wildcards, A and C, for the sides of the triangle, and we're solving for side B. So let's come down and see what options we have. I'm going to skip that general feedback again. It's a challenge to get the correct answer choice formula to be correct. And if you have mistakes happening inside the feedback and the formula, it's kind of challenging to figure out where the problem is. So let's come on down. For a multiple choice question, it's totally possible to have more than one correct answer, but I'm going to leave this as one answer only for today. Shuffle the answer choices, I'll leave that on. You could turn it off if it was going to cause confusion. And then of course we can pick what we want for our abbreviations for the answer choices. So moving down, we've got our multiple choice answers. So here's 1 and then 2. And so I'm going to put in the answer formula that I built back in the previous video. Let me bring that whiteboard up. It was this formula right here. So let me skip ahead and just type that part in for you. All right, so there's the formula. Remember that I typed in A times A just to show you can do that, or you can use power C to the second power. But there's one more step on calculated multi-choice, and it's hidden under this question mark. It says the suggested choice formula is curly brace equals, and then all of the math, and then a closed brace. So let me put that in now. Remember, this is Moodle's signal that what's inside of this set of braces with the equal sign is math that it needs to pay attention to. But anything outside of that is just regular text that would display as part of the answer choice. Now, you might be wondering what that's for, but I could just type in meters and then go back up to the question and say, change that and this. Now, going back to that calculated question where it's simply a fill in the blank with the correct number, you can set meters as the unit of the answer itself, and then students would have to type in an M or meters or whatever you specify for the meter unit. And coming down here, now Moodle is going to display a number here in this answer box, and it's going to display the word meters as well. And so this would be the correct answer. We want the answer to have 2 decimal places, that's fine. And then I might want the second answer choice. Let me copy and paste. I might want that to just not have the square root step, but all the rest of the math. And then I'm actually just going to leave it as a 2-choice multiple choice question right now, just to see if the formula worked correctly. We've got combined feedback. That looks like the pretty normal settings for any question on Moodle, so I'm not going to change that. And I'm going to change the multiple tries penalty to be 50%. So let's save changes. All right, remember on this screen, there's really not a whole lot to do unless you want to get super complicated and have 2 or 3 questions all use the same set of wildcards. So let's move on for now. And so this is something worth pointing out. I used the same wildcards, C and A, as I did back when I wrote that first calculated question, but realize that I can use the same abbreviations in a different question because each question has its own private data set. So it doesn't matter that we're reusing wildcards here because to the question, it doesn't know about the other question that we wrote them for. So here again, it's really important to pick out variables that would make sense. So let's say I want the hypotenuse to be anywhere between 10 and 12, and I want that leg of the triangle to be anywhere between 5 and 7. Now it's also worth pointing out here that if you generated a side of a triangle where the hypotenuse was actually shorter than the leg, the math would end up for this formula making Moodle try to take the square root of a negative number, and it would generate an error at that point. Usually it looks like NaN, standing for not a number, because Moodle can't really do that math with imaginary numbers. So let's look on down here. We're going to add 20 different sets of wildcards just to see if it'll work. And I'll come down to the bottom and we'll save changes. All right, so let's see if that worked. All right, so there's our two answer choices. They're shuffled, so the second one in this list is the correct answer. And let's check that one. All right, so that part worked. Let me close the preview and let's go back to the question settings. Coming back down to the answer choices, you might be wondering, what is a calculated multi-choice question? What is its advantage over a regular calculated question? Well, I use both in my courses, and sometimes the calculated question is a little nerve-wracking to students because they don't have any answer choices to look at to know if they're even in the ballpark with the answer that they've worked out. So sometimes I'll save the calculated questions for things that I expect students to be a little bit more practiced at, and I expect them to have a little more confidence on their own. But then I'll build a multi-choice question that's calculated in order to give students a little bit of a feedback before they even answer the question. Because after all, if they work out an answer on their paper that's not even on the screen, they know for sure that they've done something incorrectly and they'll ask for help. Now, the last thing I want to show you today is how to come up with some other answer choices relatively quickly. Like, let's say that I wanted to take out this wrong answer with the forgetting to take the square root, and I just wanted 3 more answers that are very similar to the correct answer. So let me copy that first answer and then put in again for answer choice 2. But now I'm going to come in and surround that with parentheses, and I'm going to close that one as well. And then I'll come back before that and just put in a new wildcard, and it's going to be wildcard X, and it's going to be multiplied by the correct answer formula. And let me copy that a few more times. All right, and put it in for 3, but I'll change that to be wildcard Y. And let me do it one more time. I'll change it to Z. And you'll see what this is for in just a minute. Let me save changes, and then I'm going to go to the next page. And then now, wildcards C and A are the sides of the triangle, and they're set to what they were before. But now for wildcards X, Y, and Z, I'm simply going to pick values that will take the correct answer and multiply it by something that'll make it slightly larger or slightly smaller. So I'm going to pick numbers between 1.05 and 1.10. And then for wildcard Y, I might pick 1.15 to 1.20, and then 1.25 to 1.30 for wildcard Z. What this is going to do for the second answer choice, it's going to make it be between 5 and 10% larger than the correct answer. This one will be 15 to 20% larger, and this will be 25 to 30% larger than the correct answer. So let's come down. And notice we have no wildcard sets anymore, and that's because Moodle needs new wildcards picked. So I'm just simply going to add 10. All right, so you can see right here, this is the first answer that was the correct formula. And then here's one that's a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger than that, and even bigger than that. Now, if you think creatively just like your students do, you might realize that very quickly they would just realize that the correct answer to this problem is the smallest answer in the answer choices. And so you could come back real quickly and just change these wildcards. Let's see. We could just change Z to be 0.9 to 0.95, and then come down and we could add 10 more sets of wildcards. And scrolling down to that 20th answer set, now you can see that we have an answer choice for that fourth answer that's going to be lower than the correct value. So you could repeat that a couple more times and actually generate a set of wildcards where the correct answer will be distributed evenly throughout all the answer choices. That's really about all I wanted to show you for this video today. The calculated multi-choice question is definitely one of Moodle's greatest superpowers, and I really enjoy using it a lot for my classes. I hope this video has been helpful for you today, and as always, thanks for watching.